This weekend's strike on the military base less than 10 miles from the Polish border has sent shockwaves into Poland and Polish communities all over the world. Dr. Marek Laskiewicz's parents fled Poland during the Second World War and resettled here in the UK. In 2015, he wrote a book called World War III about the likelihood of another global conflict and one in which Russia played a key role. And he joins me in the studio now. Thank you very much indeed for talking with us. You are, of course, a proud Polish nationalist. What are your thoughts about what's been happening in Ukraine over the last couple of weeks?
Well, it is terrifying. It is exactly as I predicted some years ago, that Russia, under her dictator ruler, because in effect that is what President Putin is, will eventually seek to expand, and that's what she has done. Ukraine, as far as I can see, is just the beginning. If they succeed, there's no reason why he couldn't retake more of USSR, including the Balts and Kazakhstan, and move further on. Once you start, war has a way of growing, and this could escalate all the way to World War III.
But, I mean, there are also lots of shock waves from that strike close to Poland's border this weekend. I mean, that was literally felt inside Poland.
Yes.
What do you hear from your Polish friends and family and all the rest of it about that?
I have been in contact, and Poland has 3 points. First of all, there are a great many, of course, Ukrainians have fled to Poland. We've been welcomed. The strike itself simply showed how close the war is now to Poland, but more than that, it also underlined for many Poles how important NATO is for them, because they believe that NATO will defend them, and therefore that this strike for them is actually very, very dangerous, and simultaneously they hope that it is nothing more than that.
Right, and your book, which I've actually got in front of me here, or one of your books, I mean, Russia and World War III, do you think this conflict was unavoidable? Do you think Ukraine and the Western countries have played this differently to avoid, I mean, they could have played it differently to avoid this all-out invasion?
Very much so. There is no need that World War III occurs. There is no need for the crisis. It is possible, and was possible, to have avoided it. Unfortunately here, NATO primarily, but the West in general, played a bad role in neither accepting Ukraine as a NATO partner, in which case Russia would probably not have attacked, nor stating they had no intention of taking Ukraine, in which Russia at least would have been assuaged and had no obvious reason to invade. In fact, we've done the worst of both worlds, and as a result, yes, I think the conflict was avoidable, but no, now it's going to go, unfortunately, and grow.
And I mean, at the moment, we're hearing, as of today, more than 1.75 million Ukrainians have fled to Poland.
Yes.
How is the country coping?
What has happened is quite admirable. The Poles have not put them in barracks, they've not put them in camps. When instead what's happened is the families have taken them in, and as it stands, Poland has managed to cope. However, unquestionably, there would be a question, I think, of financial aid, I hope, for the West from the Poles in this respect.
I wonder how you reflect on the wider international reaction to what has happened. I mean, whether it's people in Poland admiring President Zelensky, whether it's people across the world remarking on the extraordinary resilience of Ukrainians resisting this war. I mean, however you want to look at it, I wonder what you think of the international reaction to all of this.
The international reaction has been very interesting. It's been very emotional. People have all around the world condemned the invasion, which is very important in some respects. Also, another aspect is that the Ukrainians have emerged as trying to do their best to stop the invasion, which I think some people may have expected being less so, and so Ukraine has come out with flying colors in that respect. However, I do think it's very important that the West considers helping the Ukraine militarily, because how long can Ukrainians hold out? It is very important, therefore, that the West reconsiders its strategy, because although the expressions of support are important, all the sanctions have some value, actually without boots on the ground in some way, Ukraine will fall. And if it falls, the next countries will be even harder to defend. It is necessary for the West to act. Simply sending messages and sanctions is insufficient, grossly insufficient.
Right. Okay, Dr. Marek Laskiewicz, thank you very much indeed for talking to us.